Courtney and welcome to my channel. If you haven't already watched it, I have my April recap video where I go over the books that I read in the month of April and share kind of my reviews, short synopses, and thoughts about them, and would love to hear what you think too. Also, I have my social media channels over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram if you want to follow me there, where I post a lot more frequently than just once a week on my YouTube channel. All right, so today we are celebrating my 1-year vlog-aversary. Technically, it was on April 26th. So between then and now, I've created 56, maybe 57 YouTube videos on my channel and cannot believe, I know it's only a year, like that's the grand scheme of things in the world, like a year's not that long, but because that was something that I had challenged myself to do in general, not just during quarantine, that's just when I decided to actually like pull the trigger to do it, but I had thought about it for a while as I've been attending different blog conferences and learning different things on creating content that I wanted to put myself out there a little bit more and share content in a different kind of way, or in this case a visual and audio combo kind of way. So I've learned quite a lot in that year. I was just talking to my girlfriends. We had our weekly virtual gal pal lunch, and I was sharing two of my favorite vloggers are Beth at Booksnest and Elias, and they are incredible. I just love their transitions. Their videos feel like I'm watching a cinematic experience or a documentary or a film, and it's just cool to see, like, that's what I aspire to be in terms of the like technicalities and the logistics and the quality of the content, or the quality of the video I should say. And like, I appreciate what content they put out there as well, but the visuals are just so spot on, and the music selections and transitions and everything. So that's where I aspire. And over the course of the year, I've learned how to add text, how to add music, how to fade in and out, how to add images and voiceovers. So I'm getting there. There's quite a bit more to learn if I want to continue doing this, and I do, and I want to make it more of a creative experience for me as a creator and for you all as the viewer. So yeah, if you have suggestions on different editing software or producing videos, please let me know. I'm open to trying different things. I do use iMovie on my Mac, so that is what I use to edit. I know there's some other versions out there, but let me know. I don't want to, at this point, I don't want to spend too much financially to do it, but if that's what I need to do in the future, I will look into different plans of software and editing materials that are out there. So in terms of other equipment I can share as well, I use this newer ring light, and this I got probably like 3 or 4 months into my vlogging experience, because I knew I wanted good lighting and just so you can see my face, see the books that I've been reading. But it's always been challenging when I hold up, I don't know if I have an example here, but like a shinier book or like a library book, I have to adjust it because the reflection from the light is so like prominent on the book, then blinding and distracting at the same time. So I use that, and then my camera, I have a Sony, and I will list each of these things in my description below if you're interested to know what I use to create these videos. So that's pretty much it. The stand, or the ring light, the camera, and iMovie. And then I take pictures like for my clip art, for my thumbnails, I just use my phone. So this is a 10XR, no, a 12? I think it's 12. I don't even know anymore. I use basically probably like the portrait mode off my phone and use Canva to create the thumbnail art from there. So also probably can be using other technology and tools there, but that's just bare minimum, a way just to let you all know what the video is going to be about. But I think there's other platforms on there that people can like draw their own images or thumbnails over their photos, and that's probably where I'll lean in the future. Not sure if it's near or far. But anyway, this video, I had asked you all to submit any questions that you wanted me to answer, either about vlogging, blogging, life in general, whatever, just to celebrate this 1-year vlog-aversary. And I have some good questions here that I am going to go through that I hope I give good responses to. It's a little bit different of a video, but I think it's cool that you all wanted to get to know me a little bit more. I'm happy to share my knowledge, my experience with you all, however limiting it may be or how different it may be from others. So yeah, here we go. All right, the first question I have is, have I ever broken a bone? Yes, I have. In the first grade, I broke my right wrist when I was on the playground, and I remember this because it was also my sister's, it was either her birthday or her graduation, and she's older than me, and it was like a big deal obviously for her for this occasion in the summer in June. And I was playing on the monkey bars. I slipped off the monkey bars and landed right on my wrist in like mulch and everything. So yeah, it was, I mean, painful at the time. I remember I had to get a cast, and I feel like I was in a dress at the same time too, but that first time I ever broken a bone, and it was my right hand, so I had to learn to do things with my left, which I don't do too many things with my left hand anyway now, but it was kind of cool, I guess, then to figure it out. But yeah, I had it on when we went blueberry or strawberry picking, so I had to be careful because it started dyeing the cast itself with like the juices and everything, so I thought that was kind of funny. Not at the time, but obviously as I think about it, I slipped off monkey bars, which I think that's a pretty normal thing to do for kids. And then I didn't break anything in high school, but I sprained my ankle. I think it was my left ankle. That I can't remember. I think it was the left when I was playing indoor volleyball, and I was out for a few weeks, and that was the first time I was ever on a treadmill, because that was part of my like physical therapy through the school and or through like athletic training and everything. And I was like, this is the weirdest experience I've ever had as I was trying to get my ankle to be strengthened. So knock on wood, that's all I've broken, sprained. So yeah. So next question, which I kind of answered already, what do you use to film and edit? So my camera is a Sony, and it has really cool, it has the like the flip back panel where I can see, so like this is me looking into the panel right now to make sure everything looks okay, but I want to look into the camera so it looks like I'm talking to you, which is great. And yeah, this, I mean, I feel like I could use the settings a little bit more. Right now it's just set on auto or automatic, so I feel like that's something I can work on in the future, is messing around with the settings and like making sure that it's not just clear, but it's like focusing things that I want, or when I'm doing more environmental shots or b-roll, that it's a little bit steadier. So that's something I know I can improve on. And then editing wise, like I mentioned, I used iMovie. First book you remember reading as a kid, I feel like it must have been the Little Critter books, which these are super cute. I still have the box or a collection of those from when I was little. And I don't remember if it was for, so in school we had like those, I think it was like summer reading challenges where it wasn't necessarily a book you had to read, but it was like have these many pages read or read for a certain amount of time per day, and then you get entered into like a gift card for water ice or something. And which, like, I love water ice. That's a big Jersey thing, is, yeah. If you don't know that already, look it up. It's not the same as snow cones or slushies. It's its own thing. It's freaking delicious. But anyway, I feel like it might have been for that. If not, it was just like my mom and I, or my siblings and I, like reading through them, because it was just, they're just fun series of this family that they are like little critters, and they have like normal like kid issues of like fitting in and like getting scrapes, and like I related mostly to the girl of the Little Critter series when she was, oh, there was one where she had to give like a speech, and I read that one so many times because I was like, oh my god, like I'm so nervous. I'm not that I'm giving speeches or anything that often, but I've always been kind of shy when it comes to speaking in public, speaking in larger groups, in class, whatever. So I loved that book for sure. Next question, what made you fall in love with reading? I think, I mean, I'd always been a reader, but I'd picked it up a lot more. So I'll backtrack. When I was in college, we had to take like all these general education courses. I wasn't an English major, which I always thought like, oh, what if I was? But I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I feel like that would have kind of not led me to where I am today. Who knows, it might have, it might not have. But I made sure that I took an English class over the summer, so that was the only class I would take, because I was a slower reader. I still am a little bit of a slower reader, but reading comprehension was not my strongest subject when I took like SATs and ACTs, or like any of my English classes in high school. Like I always messed up like the symbolism, or like what is this passage saying? So I wasn't, like I read, but I wasn't really understanding what was there, or like behind the deeper meaning of things, and that was frustrating to me. And if I needed to read slower, I didn't want to be competing with 4 other classes I was taking in college, so I made sure I took it over the summer so I could only focus on that class. And it was a poetry class, and I liked it a lot, and it was like this huge anthology book, and our class was it was through like a community college by my house, and like after class I went to the gym. I had a membership while my mom and dad were working or like doing other things, and we met in this like computer lab, which I was so confused by, but I think we had to like write up our responses and reactions to the poems that we were reading, and I liked it because it made me slow down my reading a lot more. But after that experience, I'm like, oh, okay, this wasn't as bad. But once I graduated from undergrad and graduate school, I moved out to Cincinnati and like didn't know anybody, and found that books were kind of like my friends, my savior, my kind of like after work activity, because I was still like getting to know the city and my coworkers and everything. So I picked it back up and just like fell in love, I guess, all over again, or in a different kind of way, because I could actually take the time to read it and understand what was going on. And like I picked up different techniques or like note-taking habits and things like that since then, which I think have helped me appreciate books and different genres a lot more. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question completely, but I think that's like my reading journey and how I've gotten more comfortable with reading more and like wanting to pursue reading even further. Okay, last time you got a ticket. Knock. What? I did get pulled over once when I was driving back from a graduate school interview in Virginia, and I was on my way back because I did it all one day. I drove down there. It was like a 2-hour drive from my undergrad, so I drove down to the graduate school, interviewed, and drove back the same day, and I was exhausted, just wanted to get home, and I got pulled over for speeding. So I was like nervous because I'd never been pulled over before, and I was like, oh my god, what if I start crying? And like all these thoughts went through my head. How much is it going to be worth? Do I have to tell my parents and all this kind of stuff? So at this point I was 21, 22 years old ish, and I was super nervous and scared, and the guy came up to my window and he just like gave me a warning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so lucky. Yeah, I don't know what I've done if I would have gotten a full-on ticket from there. I don't ever want to know, but yeah, I was super scared and also thankful that they let me off so easily. All right, do I have any superstitions? So there's one I do a lot when I play volleyball. So whenever I'm up at the net, to either like defensively or offensively, before the ball begins to be in play or served, I touch the antenna with like my 2 fingers, and like that, like I have to do. And it's like something I started doing in high school, because when we ran in for like our warm-up, like walk-up music kind of stuff to before the game started, we used to run straight down one of the lines and like go to one end of the net, touch the antenna, and then shuffle or sideways shuffle to the right hand side and touch that part. And it just stuck with me for some reason. Even though I don't do that full-on routine anymore, I just keep touching it, and I don't know what that's supposed to do, but I just have to do it whenever I'm in the front row. If I'm in the back, I don't worry about it, but every time I'm in the front, I have to touch it. It's super weird. Other superstitions. I mean, I do the knock on wood thing. I used to hold my breath when I went by cemeteries in a car, but then sometimes stoplights were right in front of the cemetery. I'm like, I'm not gonna pass out just so I can hold my breath going by the cemetery. So I stopped doing that. Used to do the sidewalk crack thing about like, oh, step on a crack, break your mother's back kind of thing. I'm like, there's so many freaking cracks out there. You can't avoid them all. Love you, Mom, but you'll be fine. That's pretty much it. What do I think is the #1 invention that changed the world? Holy cow. Jeez Louise. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna go analog or old school and say maybe a camera, like a photograph camera, because you can capture likenesses. I know, but then you can always draw them and paint them, and that was a little bit more creative. But I think it's the whole a picture's worth 1,000 words kind of thing that I'm thinking of. And it's interesting now because it's like, we know video is kind of king as it comes to like content and marketing and all that kind of stuff, but there's something more powerful about the story being told and like the perspectives you get from a photo. Like even without the caption, you can read so much into a photograph, which some of it might be intended, some of it might not be. And I think that's coming from when I was an art history major in college, which again, that wasn't necessarily photographs. It was like paintings and statues and monuments and things like that. But like that was always my favorite thing, is there might be a right answer to like what does this mean, or what does this make you feel, kind of, but each person can look at it differently and get different perspectives from it. I don't know if that necessarily changes the world, but I think it opens up conversations of intention, of like your own experience playing into how you're interpreting things. And this also makes me think too, there was an assignment we had in grad school. It was a counseling class, and there was like this piece of music or like audio being played, and like each of us were silent and like our eyes were closed and we were absorbing whatever this was. And I remember I'm like, oh, this is definitely X thing, or this is making me feel X. And then once we started talking about it, I'm like, what? I didn't hear that at all. Or like, so for example, I thought it was like a death march, grim cemetery, post-war kind of feeling that I was getting. And then other people were like, oh, it reminds me of fall, or, which like, it was much more deeper than that. I just can't remember the exact terminology they used, but it was very different from what I experienced, and I liked it, but it was also like a whoa, like I wonder what other things I'm looking at differently because of my experiences, or like how I've first encountered it. So I guess maybe in general, anything we experience our senses in a way, but that's not an invention. I'll just say photos and cameras. All right, and the last question I have is, what would make the books that come across your desk feel more balanced to you as a collection of what's out in the world? Example, should there be more uplifting books, more books about X topic, more books in translation, etc.? That is a really good question. I think, well, I've been thinking about this a little bit, kind of twofold. One, I did the Read Around the World challenge a few times, and this last time was just for 3 months. The year before that was the whole year. And that I thought was a benefit for me to learn different cultures. And like, of course, there's times where people that aren't even living in those cultures or those countries are putting content out there with assumptions or maybe research or whatever. So you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt in a way. But I think it opens conversations to like the books that we are reading or tend to read. So a lot of the books I know I have read in the past were like United States, Western, Eurocentric kind of books. And I think that is not encompassing of the world, or like what other experiences are in the world. So that I think is a big thing, is making sure we're diversifying our reading with not just like diverse characters in terms of like social identities, but and I guess that can also include within social identities where you're from internationally. So that I think is a big one. And then as I'm thinking about each month so far this year has been dedicated to a certain population. So right now we're in Asian and Asian Island Pacific Heritage Month, which is great. And then we had Women's History Month, we had Black History Month. It's also Mental Health Awareness Month. So I just wish, like, yes, it's great to have those dedicated in that month, but I feel like a lot of readers and bookstagrammers, I know I do this myself, is put those books in just for that month. Like, oh, like it's Black History Month, I'm only going to read these Black authors or these Black books during the month of February, and then the rest of the year I can read whatever I want, or like, whew, that's done. And like maybe that's not necessarily the approach, that's way more flippant than I mean, but I think just making sure that we're diversifying our reading throughout the whole year, and putting special attention to the months that are dedicated to those populations and those identities, but not forgetting about them the rest of the year, if that makes sense. All right, so thank you so much for those questions. They made me think. Some of them, I think it was a good range of like really deep, thought-provoking ones, but then also ones of like my childhood and like more fun ones, I guess. But yeah, this has been exciting to kind of think a little bit differently and not just be like, here's a book, you should read it, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that and getting to know me a little bit more, getting to know my experiences and how I approach my reading based off those experiences and who I am as a person. But yeah, I'll probably do one of these, I don't know, probably in the future, in like another year, maybe not necessarily like, oh, 2-year vlog-aversary, 3-year vlog-aversary, but maybe when there's, I don't know, a big change with my life, or like things are happening in the world that I have like some thoughts on. I don't know, we'll play it by ear, but I appreciate those questions that were submitted for this video and hope you enjoyed them. But anyway, thank you for helping me celebrate 1 year of vlogging. I can't wait to continue making more videos for you all and developing fun content and hopefully more quality videos in the future. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to comment down below. Feel free to subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when I post videos in the future. And yeah, just thank you so much. I'll add my Readerly and my Bookshop list to my description as well if you want to check those out. Just a couple new things that I'm adding to my like connect with me kind of pages. So yes, I hope you have a great day and happy reading.